Hello.
Why do we why do we support Israel?
Oh yeah. Why do we support Israel? I
Yeah.
thought there was another guy who had that topic called Ryan. Is that you?
No, it might be a popular topic right now though, but it just came off the top of my head. I don't know who this Ryan guy is, but yeah, we give Israel like I don't know what is it, $4 billion
So do you?
a year in support, something like that.
Oh yeah. Is that the United States?
Yeah, exactly. The United States gives Israel like $4 billion a year in financial aid, but here we got a
Oh wow.
huge homeless population. Like we have an epidemic of homeless people here. So we're helping Israel more than we're helping our own country. It's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds a bit odd. I mean, um, I have no idea. Is that advertised somewhere? Like, is
Yeah,
that something that
just
the
Google.
government
Totally.
talks
Yeah,
about?
it's oh, absolutely. I mean, they try not to talk about it much, but it's public information, so you could just Google it and you can see in the latest bill how much support we gave Israel. It's
Oh shit,
crazy.
yeah. More recently, in
And
fiscal
with
year 2019, the U.S. provided 3.8 billion in foreign
That's what I'm
military
talking
aid.
about.
Foreign military aid. Israel also benefits from about $8 billion of loan guarantees. Almost all U.S. aid to Israel is now in the form of military assistance, while the past is also received. Fuck.
So, so it's not just financial
So
aid.
it's
It's We're giving them weapons. It's crazy.
I mean, weapons or money. It's the same. So
Or money,
them,
because they have their own badass weapons. So maybe we're just helping them buy more. Yeah, build more. But
yeah,
either way,
buy
crazy,
more.
right?
Yeah, I don't understand the U.S. foreign affairs, to be honest with you.
Makes no sense. The only thing I can think of is that everything is being run by the oil companies. So they wanna start shit and destabilize any country that has resources, and then they can say, "Oh, we need to go in and help, stabilize it." But in reality, they're the ones that destabilized it in the first place, so that they could get the resources privatized. This has happened in
Sure.
Iraq, Afghanistan, um,
It's
Syria,
funny. It's funny you say that because I'm
Lebanon.
originally from Iraq, so
Or
I
what?
know first. I'm originally from Iraq. Yeah,
No way.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool, dude. Oh my God, you could teach me some shit. Because I have a whole pod, I have a whole podcast about how our country's fucking up the Middle East. But what do I know? I'm in California, right? The only information I can get is like over the internet. So like, holy
Sure,
shit, to be able to talk to somebody like yourself, dude, this is priceless. Wow. I need
sure.
I
What
need to
questions do
shut
you
the
have?
fuck up. Yeah, I need to shut the fuck up and listen to you. Um, First of all, how do you look at the
Which
United
part? Which
States?
which part of California are you from?
Northern California, about an hour north of San Francisco.
Oh yeah, I've been to San Francisco
Yeah,
last year, 2019.
no, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome place. I
How do
lived
I
there for about 20 years.
how do I look at your country? How do I look at America? I mean, um,
Yeah, how do,
I
not and
I I
not only you, but like the average person there.
so I'm not the average person. The average person would I used to be the average person. So the way we see it is, when the U.S. first came to Iraq, they're like, oh, there are saviors, yada, yada, and so on and so forth, until that whole thing got uncovered,
Yep,
and the whole corruption came in, and then you see
totally.
that the so. let's first separate the government from the people.
Oh,
Because
absolutely, absolutely.
because because you the people vote, and then eventually the government does whatever they want to do. That's at the end of the day,
Thank you.
and they do that
And I think,
because they have
right.
some
I
kind
think the
of
people
interest.
are the same everywhere. I think it's the governments that are the problem.
Yeah, I mean, there are good people and bad people everywhere. Um, what I like when I first left Iraq, I thought, oh my God, the Iraqis are so uh, they're so uneducated and yada yada yada. And then I came here, and then I found the same behavior. You find uneducated and educated people everywhere. So yeah. So what do I think about the government? I think what they're doing is in the best short term interest of the United States. It's probably not the best for the long term, and it's definitely not good for the other countries that they're going and they're saying that, oh, we're going to save that country and so on. They're not doing it for because they love us as Iraqis. They
Nope,
don't do it because you know
nope,
they want to be the knight on white horse and be the
nope.
savior. No, they're just going there because there's a lot of oil and they can get it for dirt cheap, and they go
Thank
there.
you.
They corrupt the different organizations, the government organizations. I mean, the Iraqi government right now is fully corrupt. The U.S. dick is all up the Iraqi government's ass all the way.
Oh
So,
yeah, I bet. This is just my guess, but I bet we put in another puppet government there.
of course, yeah. I mean, it's been like that since 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever goes
Mm-hmm.
into power and tries to do something good either gets taken down by people who are higher than him, or gets taken down by the hungry people around him who are just there for the sake of corruption because they're extremely hungry and they really don't care about the well-being of the people or the well or developing their own country and so on. So I mean, it's purposefully, if you think about it, if I like the system in the United States in a sense that people in a sense, so that's good. um, because
Well,
you have different organizations policing other different organizations and try to hold them accountable. But we don't have that in Iraq. There we have a figure of power, which is usually the prime minister, the president, and so on, and they get to do what they want. So you can imagine. I don't know if you're pro Trump or against
no,
Trump.
I'm not. I'm not pro
I
Trump.
mean, yeah, but anyways, irrespective, what Trump did is that he utilized his power in a way that wasn't done before. So I can imagine
Yeah,
that multiplied by 100, you get the Iraqi government. They get to do
right,
what they want to do when they want to do it, irrespective of whether the Iraqi people want it or not. And then
right.
eventually, where do they get their orders from? They get their orders from, you know, it depends. They, for the most part, they get it from the United States, and then they kind of negotiate it with Iran, and there is Turkey, and then there is neighboring country, and then there is Saudi. By the way, Saudi Arabia is another puppet of the United States.
Oh
Saudi
yeah,
Arabia
oh
buys
yeah.
a lot of um, send a lot of oil barrels to the United States at dirt cheap, and then a lot of investments of Saudi Arabia's money is in San Francisco. A lot of these companies that are surviving right now in San Francisco, they have shit ton of investments from Saudi Arabia. All these startups and shit like that. It's Amazon,
Wow.
which is the largest
No,
company until
no
the
shit.
2000.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that angle. That's fascinating. So Saudi Arabia is investing in startups.
Well, Saudi Arabia, if there is a huge company called Aramco. Saudi Arabia is surviving on oil. Two things. They that's the business model. What do they
Yeah,
do? How do they live? They live off two things: oil and Hajj, which is basically tourism for Islam. Muslims, they
right,
have to go to Saudi Arabia to visit those holy places and
right.
so on. So
Yeah,
these are the two
I know.
mainstream. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I know about Aramco. Yeah,
Yeah, so Aramco, they went public and then they sold shit ton of shares, and now MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, is investing in all these startup companies, and I mean, yeah, I mean they have a shit ton of money. They don't know what to do with it, right? So they don't care if they
Yeah,
lose 10, 20%,
they
30%. That's like the GDP of
sure,
fucking France.
sure. They get because exactly they're swimming in this cash and they've got to do something with it. Exactly.
Yeah. So they throw it, and then they have good relationship with the United States, with the government. They had good relationship with. Now that brings us back to the topic of Israel. They have good relationship with Israel. Um, Same as Dubai, same as most of the Middle East. Um, so yeah, they invest in each other, and all these people. Of course, I'm talking right now strictly about the government. So I'm talking about the government of Saudi
Sure.
Arabia. I'm talking about the
Of
government of the
course.
United Arab
Of
Emirates.
course. Of course. We're talking
Yeah.
about
So
politics, not the people, because I believe the people we're all so much more alike. There's not many differences really. So, but yeah, exactly. I want to hear this breakdown. So, how is it that the Middle East, is it just financial that Israel is in bed with Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has so much cash from oil that they just need to process, they need to put it places?
um, can you rephrase your question again?
Yeah. So why is Israel in bed with Saudi Arabia?
In debt?
Are, is it just money? Why are they partners? Why do they do business together? Is it just financial?
No, it's so first of all, they do business. To be honest with you, I don't know a lot about that, but from what I've read, is that if if we both hate one person, so we kind of work together to get rid of that person. So, for
Gotcha.
example,
Gotcha.
So Saudi
Gotcha.
Arabia, its interest is to keep the area unstable because
Uh-huh.
that will be more powerful, and it's the same interest for Israel. So they kind of
And it's
collaborate from that sense. And they
and it's the
also, I
same
mean, if you
interest for
ever,
same
yeah,
interest
it's
for
the
the
same
United
interest,
States as well. So
and it's
boom.
the same
So
interest for the
now
United States exactly. So now they
so
have,
that
so now
yeah.
since you have like all these military bases is in Saudi Arabia or close to it because they can protect it. Otherwise, I mean, the United States and Saudi Arabia are really their allies. Um,
Yeah.
because Saudi Arabia is the only place where the United States can trust putting their own military bases there. Although there are military bases in Iraq, but Iraq is an unstable country, hence they
Hmm.
can't really fully trust it. Just throw in a military base and have like army there. I think we have a couple of
Yeah.
people doing
Yeah,
something.
let me
That's
get
right.
these calls here.
What up? And another thing. What's up, my brother? Hey, what's up over?
What?
Cut me
Is
off,
that
no Metal
Vigil
Gear. But what's
Q?
up to you too, my friend?
Hey
I think
man,
that was Vigil.
true something. You didn't finish your message.
Yeah, dude. I have no idea why we support Israel because I'm just a regular citizen, and it's clear that they have a whole nefarious agenda. And I think that's why Trump is buddies with them and stuff. He's a part of the Jesuit order and stuff. That's why I've never been like believing he's here to drain the swamp or anything like that. But yo, do me a favor, actually, no Metal Gear, while I'm here, drop a follow on me, brother. I'll drop a follow on you too, of course.
Yeah,
True
for sure,
Dab
man.
God. Yeah. He's good people. Yeah, he's a knowledgeable guy. I was leaving messages on his show the other day, and he was dropping all kinds of truth bombs. So yeah, he's good peeps for sure. Everybody follow True Dab God, and
True dab. Gotcha.
you gotta you gotta be a powerhouse to be doing dab to be a dab god. Those things put
Yeah,
me on
yeah.
my butt.
True.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, and then from the other side, you have the. Have you ever heard the story of Yemen?
Well, tell me from your perspective, because all I know is that we give weapons to Saudi Arabia so that they can commit genocide in Yemen, so that we
Yeah,
can say that we're not really doing it directly.
yeah. I mean, it's because Yemen they had an uprising against their own government, and then Saudi Arabia was just bombing the people like hell, so that they don't overturn the government because they are friends with the governments. Of course, governments are friends with governments. So when you have an uprising
Yeah.
somewhere, and then that government can't really shut it down, so you have Saudi Arabia trying to shut it down by force, of course. So
Now,
let's hear
was this uprising? Was this a legitimate civil war in Yemen, or was this
no,
a coup supported by the West?
so it's not a coup supported by the West. It's all like the hardworking people, the people who are living there. It's just it happened in Iraq as well. It's back in 2019 in October there was an uprising in Iraq and they got shut down.
Okay, so
But
a legitimate uprising of the people.
yeah, legitimate uprising of the people, and then they got shut. But these people they got shut down by not the Yemeni government, by the Saudi government actually. So and then they've been bombing them ever since. So
Well,
just
and
to we
the Saudi government and the U.S. government, because we gave the Saudis hundreds of millions of
shit
dollars
ton
worth
of
of
money.
weapons
Yeah,
for
yeah,
them to
yeah.
use in Yemen.
Of
Here,
course, and you wonder why.
let me play this message real quick.
Thanks. And another
Yeah,
thing. And another thing. I want to do a broadcast with you sometime in the next week or two. So if you can, hit me up on IG or something. Let's try to work out a time that's going to work with your schedule, and I'll make sure that mine matches.
True dab God, I would love that. My schedule is pretty flexible over the next week, so let's do that for sure. Love it when people are just talking truth. So
yeah.
yeah, man, just why don't you give me your perspective? Like I'm so curious, man. I am so stoked to be talking to a real live person that has knowledge of that area, because I think it's just such an atrocity. Like in my heart, I think all people are the same, and that it's governments that divide us. And why? Because our government wanted your fucking oil, right? Our people, like, I didn't benefit from our government taking your oil. The fucking gas didn't even get cheaper here. That's how much of suckers we are. They don't even have to give us cheaper gas. They send our soldiers over to take over a country so that corporations can make more profit, and they don't even have to give us cheaper gas, man. And we fall for it. It's crazy.
I mean, so here's the thing. Even let's rewind that back. So this you're talking about 2003 when US went to Iraq and then they took over. But let's talk
Yes.
about a couple of years earlier. So 9/11.
Yeah, thank you, because
What
that's what started it all, right?
that's the precursor in my opinion. And now that we're in
Yes,
COVID,
sir.
this is 9/11 2.0. So this is
Yeah,
the new this is the new
exactly.
agenda, the new propaganda and what have you. Anyways, it's
Right.
very clear, but you know what? If honestly, good for the American government. They are able to produce some kind of a force, a power to to get the people support in whatever they're doing. So at some point in time in the 90s, they said, okay, let's sit down. How do we get the people support to go to whatever country so that we can increase our American resources? So then they said, well, we have to go to some country. How do we do that? We can't just go and invade some country. We have to come up with a story. Well, even if we come up with a story that the Iraq has mass destruction weapons and so on and so forth, the American people would be like, well, what the hell do we have to do with that? They're all the way over there and they're in a different continent. There's no way that the Iraq is going to come to America. So
Yeah.
then they came with this 9/11 uh, propaganda, the conspiracy. I mean, people call
Yep.
it conspiracy. I call it truth. because if you go, you actually do the research. It's so funny. Uh, Nothing in 9/11 is factual.
No,
It defied laws of physics, all the laws of physics. I'm an engineer by trade.
everything, my brother. I've done so much research, and so check this out. So we threatened the government, we threatened the Taliban that if they didn't join with the Northern Alliance a year before 9/11, we threatened them, if you don't join with the Northern Alliance, we're going to invade you.
Mm.
And because you know why? It's all because of an oil pipeline, the TIPI pipeline, Turkmenistan, India, TIPI, Pakistan, and somewhere else. But it's this pipeline, and so we had to, we had to invade. It's all a fucking scam for money. The guy that we put in charge of Afghanistan, Ahmed Karzai, that's the guy. He's the ex-head of Unocal Oil. He's the guy that came up with the plan for the pipeline.
Hmm.
So we put him in as president to oversee the the plan. And then
Sure. I mean, yeah,
our military supports it. All these oil companies benefit.
sure. I mean, all companies benefit, but eventually the government will benefit as well. So, if the government didn't benefit, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't. But yeah, I mean, it's the lobbyists and whatnot. But what even
So,
concerns me further is that, you know, 9/11 that killed multiple people. The government
mm-hmm.
was able to go all the way to kill up us, even if it's a small portion, to have that accidental people die in 9/11 for the sake of going to another country or declaring war on terrorism and uh, coming up with all these plans so that they can go there and do all these things for the sole
Yep,
purpose of benefiting the government. And that's how I
absolutely.
see
Here,
it.
let me play this message.
I appreciate that perspective on Yemen. No medals, like really, man. Yeah, like I knew very little about it other than basically what another thing was talking about, which is what we do all over the fucking place and have been doing it forever, where we just militarize a segment of a population in another country and let them do our dirty work so we can keep our hands clean. It's really fucked up, man. But I appreciate that you're over here like spilling out some of the facts so that I can have a broader view of it.
Thank you, True Dab God, chiming in, keeping the conversation going. I love it. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
So I've been told, people have criticized me like, well, if you hate our country so much, meaning the United States, why don't you move somewhere else? And it's not that I hate this country. It's that I'm being sold or told one thing, but then I watch what our foreign policy is, and I watch what our military does, and that's 180 degrees opposite of what we're being told that we stand for, right? So, you know, we got drones out assassinating people, but meanwhile we're saying we're the defenders of the free world. That it doesn't
yeah.
add up.
I mean, so bringing up the drones, I have a friend of mine who's doing she's finishing up her PhD, and she specializes in political science, and she's majoring in exactly the drone technology used to assassinate figures of power in Palestine.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and
Oh
then
my god.
and she's Canadian. She's native. She's original Canadian. She's from Calgary, and she's telling me even more stories that I haven't even heard. I mean, I'm from the Middle East, but there is a lot of things that I don't know that you have to dig deep to know.
Oh, of
But
course. Of course.
yeah, so in terms of those people that tell you, oh, why you hate our country and so on, you have to really adapt them. You just
As far as
explain
what?
yourself.
Why do you hate the United States, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, I'm not really hating on the country. I'm just against the policies and so on. And I
Oh,
mean,
no, 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 no.
people.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I never meant for it to sound like that, because I just want, like, I was just wondering, like, are you guys like, is the rest of the world laughing at us? Like, what's the general opinion, right? Because I get what you're saying. Like, the only reason that we have a problem with anybody is because the CIA is out there poking people with a stick. We're
Sure.
fucking with the whole world. We have 1,000 military bases around the world. The CIA is overthrowing governments. Recently, Bolivia, Honduras, and Venezuela.
I
We
think I
overthrew
think
fucking Iran.
I think yeah, Iran is Iran. Sorry, I'm just connecting to my Bluetooth. Can you hear me?
No problem.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I just connected to my Bluetooth. I was saying, yeah. So there is you'd be interested in a very interesting documentary on YouTube. It's free, by the way. It's called
Hmm.
Zeitgeist.
Oh no, I love it.
Zeitgeist.
Oh, it's one of my favorite documentaries of all time. Zeitgeist itself, and then Zeitgeist the Addendum
The addendum.
is a
I mean,
that's a fantastic one,
technically,
because that just talks
the
about
difference
the
between,
financial system.
yeah, I don't know.
And then there's one that talks about, like, the truth about religion. Oh yeah,
Religion and so
big
on.
big fan of Zeitgeist. Yeah. Oh, looks like you're reconnecting here. No problem. We're having an awesome conversation, people. Looks like we got a couple listeners here. Who do we got in the house? We've got Vigil Q all up in here. Up in here. Up in here.
Yeah.
Vigil Q. And we got Tom91 and Quadruple 3 Nikki. What up? And
Can you
Rise.
hear me?
Yes, I can. I was just saying hello to our listeners.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So, to your point about, sorry, what were we talking about?
Basically,
I lost my
U.S.
train of
foreign
thought.
policy, really.
Oh, so in terms of the people's opinion about governments, right? So, okay, listen.
Yeah,
Media is always wins. Why? Because they control people's minds.
that's it.
It's as simple as that. I
That's
was
it.
in their shoes. Everybody starts with the mainstream idea because you can't
Right.
start elsewhere because herd mentality, because of peer
Mm-hmm.
pressure, and so on. And then you have to
Sure.
really understand yourself and then really go above and beyond to be able to think for yourself. It's not easy. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
in terms of populations, no, if you go to Iraq right now, they're gonna say, no, fuck Iraq, US, everything is great, fuck Iraq, and so on. Same thing. You go. I mean, dude, I've traveled to Europe, and you go to Europe, they say people from North America are gods. Like, hey, I'm from Canada. Oh my God, you're from Canada. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Canada. It's nothing special, you know. We pay shit ton of
Still,
taxes.
they still
Yeah,
say that shit. Wow.
yeah. So I
Even
mean,
even after even after we've been bombing the world for fucking 20, 30 years. Wow.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. So the reality is, if you go right now to Iraq, everybody will want to go to the United States. Will want to go to Canada. Why? Because they are fed all these, movies and Facebook and posts and music and videos and so on. So all
Oh
these
yeah.
things get into their head, and they're like, well, shit, my street is all bumpy, my car is old. I want to live that high life. I want to live the American dream. But the
Right.
reality is, I mean, I'm not too sure how far you've made it in terms of the American dream.
Not very far,
But
dude. Not very far. I don't own a house.
yeah, yeah. So
I'm
basically,
I'm
you come here, you're struck with the reality that it's all a big game. You just work your ass off, get taxed 50%, and so on. And they're living, actually, in fact, in Iraq, they live a better life than what we do here in North America. That's the truth.
Well, you know
They
what?
don't have to
Exactly.
work as hard to make the same amount of living uh, um, level there. So
You
you
know what's
can.
happened? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, yeah, I was just saying that instead of here you make, for example, $5,000 to live an okay life. There you make $300, but it doesn't matter. The okay life is an okay life compared to your peers.
Right, right. Absolutely. I totally agree. And do you know what's happened here over my entire life, right? So my mother was able to go to school for free. College used to be free, but then they stopped that. Um, and they've slowly done away with more and more benefits so that we're the working poor. So, and you know what it is? It's a result of the protests here in the 1960s, right? The protests here in the 1960s freaked out our government so much that they figured, oh my God, we got to do whatever we can to take away these people's freedom so that they don't have the time to protest as much,
Of course,
right? So
yeah.
what
You know
happened?
what? When I first came to Canada, about 13, 14 years ago, and I started getting into the system of studying and working and studying and working. At some point, I stopped and I was talking to my friends. I'm like, I swear to God, the people here are just so programmed that in such a way that they are so busy in their day to day problems that they can't think about anything else because you
Yes,
have so much trouble
yes,
just to get by. You can't.
but exactly. And it's by design, my brother. It's by design. Why? Because in the 1960s, we had some leaders that came up where we actually almost changed things to benefit the people over the corporation, right? But the power
Mhm.
structure freaked out, and they'll never let that ever happen again, right? So we don't allow reporters on the battlefield of war because we can't let people see what's really going on because people don't like war. you know, we brainwash and lie to people that we're bringing Iraq democracy because we can't tell people, oh, we're gonna go kill 500,000 people because we want to steal their fucking oil.
What's funny is during, I think, the 6th of January, when there is a lot of people going and storming through the capital, right?
Yeah.
So you see all this chaos.
How did you feel?
So the Iraqis made a small little meme. So they showed the capital and they photoshopped a couple of helicopters and tanks and whatnot, and they said the Iraqi military is marching toward the United States to stabilize the country and reestablish order.
Oh my God, that is so hilarious. Oh, that is brilliant. Right? Because we say that's what we're doing, but in
Yeah, you
reality,
say
what do
that,
we
then
say that's what we're doing, but then
that's
we come to your country, we bomb you back to the Stone Age, we use depleted uranium ammunition, so there's horrible childbirth deformations going on in Iraq right now. It's it,
100%. Yeah, 100%.
it is it is so sad. And anybody that listens to this, you need to look this up on YouTube. Deformed births in Iraq
In Iraq,
from
yeah, for sure.
depleted uranium ammunition. It is horrible. We created a horrible war crime here, like we did in Vietnam by using Agent Orange. It's the same thing. It's except it's worse because it's going to stay there for 1,000 years because it's nuclear.
It's not only that; it's going to go through the next generation and the other generation and the other generation. It's just going to get passed on.
Oh yeah, and it's going to destroy the farmland. Anybody that eats anything from that grows in that land is going to get sick for the next 10,000 years. It's But we said
You
we were bringing democracy. We said we were freeing. It makes me so sick, my friend. It makes me
let me
so
find
sick.
let me find a video for you. It's
We
by
need
a lady.
we need a revolution in this country, in the United States, more than anything, because 90% of the people are not for any of these wars. You know, some people have been brainwashed to believe that we're defending ourselves, but anybody that has any intelligence at all knows
Mm.
exactly what's going on. We're
No,
taking your
I
oil.
think.
We're going
Mm.
to take Syria's oil, then we're going to take Libya's oil, and then who knows who's next, right?
Of course, I mean, no, it's very evident. Next is Iran, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, exactly. We've been trying for fucking since the 80s, right? The Iran-Iraq war, we supported Iraq, and I just did a podcast on this, man. We gave, and this is so fucked up because this spins right back to 9/11 and the weapons of mass destruction. So we gave Iraq chemical and biological weapons to use against Iran. So we knew that Iraq had some chemical and biological weapons. Why? Because we fucking gave them to them. We made them and we gave them to them. So we're the ultimate war criminal, right? The United States. But nobody talks about that. And then, even still, Iran is still experiencing problems. The same thing, deformed births and stuff like that, from the use of these chemical weapons in the 80s.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a video for you. Just give me a second here.
So
Um,
it's like the United States is going around fucking everything up for $1. But then what are we going to end up with? We're going to end up with a toxic earth, with air that we can't breathe, with water that we can't drink, and then there's
I
going to
don't
be
think
like,
I don't think that's what I said. I don't think there is a thought process around long-term planning. It's all
there's no
immediate
long term. It's
ROI.
greed. It's greed, yeah, because these 500 people are just getting richer and richer and richer, and they're killing the entire planet. So when are we all going to rise up? And I guess it has to happen here because it's our military doing it, right? So fuck, what is it going to take to have a revolution in the United States? Because our
I don't
government,
think.
dude,
I don't,
our
yeah.
government does not do what the people wants at all,
No.
at all.
Oh my God, you brought a good point. I can share so many videos about what you're talking about right now. But let me get one by one. There is a lady who was involved in the Iraq 2003.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, you're
she
digging up.
she
You're
she's
digging up facts. I like it.
she's American, but
Okay.
her grandfather, I think, he is Iraqi,
Okay.
and she went there, and when she came back, she had a lot of things to talk to the Congress, and she was in the Congress talking with all these guys, and it's on YouTube, but she doesn't get publicized. Why she doesn't get publicized? Because her ideas um, goes against the governments for sure. That's one, and
Yep.
two, her ideas doesn't make the government any money.
Right.
So she ends up getting shut down.
Yeah.
I
Here, the
mean,
government is supposed to work for the people, but it doesn't. It works for the corporations. So we need a revolution.
oh, here,
There's
I
no way.
got it. Okay, I got it. So if you look up Dahlia Wasfi,
You got to spell that for me.
Dahlia
DAHLIA
Lia
LIA.
Wasfi, WASFI, and then
Okay.
a semicolon. Like, what do you call these two dots, one above the other? A
Yeah. Colon.
column.
Mhm.
Ain't nothing green about the green zone. So the green zone is an area in Iraq in which the U.S. established itself. It's
Oh, I know.
she's talking in this is her talk in 2008 about about what the U.S. military. She's talking specifically about the agriculture life in Iraq and how diverse it was prior to the American invasion, and she talks in details about how the United States did that to transform Iraq just as another land to produce um seeds and profit off of the no sorry not seeds to produce like fruits and vegetables and so on, and then
Yeah,
profit off of that
agriculture.
on top of the agriculture, yeah, on top of the oil. So, and she goes into details how the agricultural landmark was very diverse, and then the U.S. government, well, not the U.S. government, the army, I mean, went and they took over all the seed supply, and then they started supplying only specific type of seeds to the farmers, so that they can only grow these types of um, agricultural life,
That's
if
what they're
you will.
doing here. That's what they're doing
Yeah, I
here.
mean,
They're letting companies like Monsanto, those executives
I think she talks about
get.
Monsanto.
Oh yeah, those
Yeah,
the executives. It's called a revolving door, right? So
yeah,
executives from Monsanto get a position in the government, then they make laws, then they go back to Monsanto, and they take
yeah,
advantage of those laws.
sure, sure. Um, and then she talks about, and she goes in details and whatnot. So this is just one aspect. And then the other aspect is when the U.S. military got assimilated and then was sent to Iraq, a lot of people were really not fit for being in the military, and that's why you have all these war crimes that happened in Iraq, like putting people naked in the on the streets and then taking pictures and all these things. I'm pretty sure you heard about it.
Oh, it's horrible. Well, so over here, if you turned on the news after 9/11, any Muslim person was like a savage, right? So they painted this picture, the media painted this picture that, any Muslim is like less than human. So that all of a sudden you're trying to get the American public to go along with treating them like less than human, right? And that's what
I mean, this
happened,
is the.
right?
I mean, you can understand. I can understand that because it's part of the agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. To destabilize the entire region, to take all of the oil. And that was a plan from before 9/11. And I think the United States committed 9/11 with the help of Israel and Saudi Arabia.
I mean, if you don't think that, then it will be a joke because with all the CIA, with all the intelligence, and with all the technology the United States has, it is impossible to think otherwise.
Right? And there's
Like
this
like
group called,
The United States knows exactly how many pieces of hair I have in my butt right now. If you're telling me that there is
exactly.
an airplane that comes and travels and it's hijacked and so on, and not only that, like there is, I'm pretty sure it's you research 9/11 in documentaries. It's available on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually surprised why they didn't take it down. I'm
I
surprised.
know. Well, you know what? They keep taking them down, but people keep putting them up. So I have a YouTube channel and another thing with Dave on YouTube. And under playlists, I have probably 300 documentaries that are really important like that. 9/11, about how we invaded and took over Iran, about how we fucked over just the history of everything, this history of the CIA and how dirty it is, right? And nobody in the United States knows this shit because we've been so brainwashed and our school system is so horrible. So people don't know our history, and it's by design, right? If you don't know the history, then you're bound to repeat it, right?
Of course, yeah,
So
yeah. saying by
so
someone,
we're
I can't forget.
so we're kept really ignorant over here. That's why we don't have free education. We don't have free college. And I know, I know because doing research, I learned that before we invaded Iraq, Iraq used to be like the most liberal country in the Middle East. Women had more rights than anywhere else. It was a thriving, pretty equal society.
Not. Yeah. I mean, once Saddam came, he kind of messed things up. But the way I think about it
Well,
now is
Saddam
that
is our,
that's what.
once again, the CIA put Saddam in power, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they were able to control him, and I think
No, they weren't.
he was really trying to make Iraq a better country.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think so
for
too.
him to do that, he must shut down everybody else. So he did, and then we didn't like it. We Iraqis didn't like it, but now we're paying the price because that's the only way if you want to maintain your security. Like think like like the United States right now puts her nose into every other country's internal affairs.
Yeah.
So think about Russia putting her nose in the United States affairs, internal affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Think what's gonna happen, right? It's gonna get messed up.
Of course.
So Saddam was doing that, but he was doing it very aggressively, and that's why Iraqis were so eager for anybody to come and liberate them. It wasn't necessarily about the United States. If it was Russia, we would have been also okay with it.
Okay.
But then once that happened, and then the years after that, and the consequences, now looking back at it, I wouldn't want that to happen. No, I'd be happy with Saddam.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't have to curse the
right.
and that's it.
Because because then that leads us to the green zone. So here we are, the green zone. We created the U.S., the largest U.S. military base in the world in Iraq, and it'll never go away, right? The green zone, like we pulled out the troops, quote unquote, but we still have this massive military base that's like a city with a ton of fucking military people in it. Right? And so as long as we call those peacekeeping forces, then we don't have to say that we have any troops in Iraq, right?
Sure.
But the truth of the matter is, I don't know. I think we probably still have at least 50,000 fucking troops there.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers on top of my head, to be honest with you.
Nobody does, yeah, because they won't tell us.
Yep, yeah, absolutely.
Because they tried to tell us, they're trying to convince us that we pulled our troops out. But I'm calling bullshit on that. Oh, we got another message.
Chill, it's your boy, Charles.
Jesus, Charles, what are you, like 9 years old? Go to bed, kid. Wow, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's I think that's currently the state that we're in. I think Iraq is stuck deep in the weeds, if you will.
Yeah.
And all this deficit and so on. Like it's very hard for it to stand on its legs anymore. Like I don't see Iraq coming back to life anytime soon.
And that breaks my heart because it was, I mean, for fuck's sake, it's the cradle of humanity. It's the origin of civilization. Oh my God.
Sure.
Oh my God, it kills me. Breaks my heart. You know?
I mean,
we did that for what? And we did that for what? So like 3 or 4 companies could make a fuck ton of profit and pollute our planet more? Like, with climate change and everything, we need to move beyond fossil fuels anyway. So like, man,
that's unrealistic to move beyond fossil fuels in the short term.
Well, in the short term, yeah, but we need to start it's not like we're going to flip a switch and stop using them, but we need to move towards, right? So
Sure,
investing in alternatives, researching alternatives, yeah,
sure, sure.
and stopping these wars of imperialism. Ultimately, I mean, what the fuck?
I think
Like the
it's
United,
hard to stop these things because uh, the struggle to power is always going to be there. It's not going to stop. And the winning country is going to be, that's the reality. The winning country is going to be the country who establish power all over the place. And that's currently the United States. But the United States, in my opinion, has been losing its power for now 10, 15 years. And China is becoming more powerful. Now you hear all like China, China, China. And you have Russia on the other hand, on the other side. And just recently, about 2 months ago, there is a trade that was made, the trade deal that was made in the absence of the United States and Canada. And basically, the world is moving on without us. So we're going to be left over, left
well,
behind, I mean.
and it's about time too, because we've been oppressing the rest of the world, like trying to keep the rest of the world down while we could move forward, as opposed to bringing everybody forward. And China and Russia have the right idea. They're going to work together.
No, I think, yeah, China had a deal with China and India, and I think Singapore and Australia. So they made a trade deal between them in the absence of the United States, and Canada, of course, because Canada is an extension of the United States.
Yep.
So yeah, and because Trump is against China. So, but I think, I mean, it's all the government. It's all what the government is doing. So if the American people choose at some point the right government, that would fix things up. But the other
Well,
problem is that government is only going to be there for 4 years, tops 8 years.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you,
things will always.
but part of there's a whole system put in place to keep people ignorant here, to make it hard to vote. Like it's on the
Yeah.
amount of
So
effort
what's the
put
way
into.
how to solve that problem?
I think just like we're doing right now, educate, teach people how to do it. You gotta register to vote. You gotta take place. You gotta take part in your local elections, your city council, your student body. Your you know, and that and the grassroots level will have a great effect.
There is another nice
Um,
video that I wanted
and everybody
to.
should just watch as many documentaries as they can to learn the history of the United States, because we've been taught as citizens of the United States, we've been taught a lie that we've been out there protecting world democracy, when in reality the CIA has been out there overthrowing countries, overthrowing democracies.
There's a nice video on YouTube. You should look that up.
Yeah.
It's by a channel called Represent US. One word. And the video called Corruption is Legal in America. You should probably watch it. And it tells you how policies is made and how the American people have too little to influence policies, and it's only those giant uh, companies and corporations that have the say in what gets
Right.
passed and what doesn't get passed.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
What to do?
And
What
then,
to do? You're in the receiving end only.
yeah,
Like, they give people the false sense of freedom. Like, here, freedom is you can talk, but that's it. You can only talk. You
that's
can't do
it.
anything else.
That's it. And you know what? Like, I can talk, but how many of my followers on Facebook hear it? oh, I'm censored, right? I have 1,100 friends on. I have 1,100 friends on Facebook, but if I post something about Israel, 5 or 6 people see it.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I mean, this is weird. The censorship is weird. Sometimes I post the randomest things, and it gets viewed by a lot of friends of mine. And then when I put something else, it just 0 views, and I'm wondering how the fuck that's happening.
Right. Yeah, I got a few documentaries I'd like to recommend.
Sure.
There's one called The Secret of the Seven Sisters, and it's about the oil companies and how they all conspired to break the law to take over the world, basically.
The
And
Secret
then
of the
another
Seven
one.
Sisters. That's on YouTube, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I found it.
Yep. Yeah, these are all on YouTube. Yeah. And that one's like, it's 4 parts, I think. And then there's
Okay.
another one, 100 Years in the Middle East, is a great one as well. And that talks about how the oil companies basically divided up the Middle East.
100 years in the Middle East. Fight for
Yep.
oil. 100 years in the Middle East. Okay. Got it.
Yep, that one exactly. And then another one called The Corporation.
The Corporation, that's it? Documentary?
Yep, documentary. And that one describes, how a corporation's only goal is to make money. So they're never going to look out for people, for society, all these
Oh, of course,
things.
yeah.
And then the
It is
last one,
for-profit organizations.
only for
Sure.
profit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you can't just look at something through that lens. You have to look at it through,
Social responsibility.
a holistic lens, right? So you have to see the whole picture. Yeah. And you have to be socially responsible. Exactly.
Sure.
Then the last one
And then the
is
last one. Yeah.
is plutocracy, and it's spelled PLUTOCRACY.
Yeah, got it.
Divide and rule.
Divide and rule. Yeah. Part 1.
And that's a great one. And that talks about how corporations have gotten the government to use race to divide and conquer so that the rich can stay rich and the rest of us stay working slaves.
Sure.
Yep. And
I mean, people here would like to think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say people here, fantasize about, there is equal opportunity and this and that, but the reality is it's equal opportunity at the bottom level of
right,
of the money making engine.
Right.
Because it's very hard to go anywhere. They make it super hard for you.
You can equally fight for the scraps on the bottom. Exactly.
Sure.
But all the good pieces are already eaten and taken up, and it's like a dinner table, only a little scrap falls on the floor. But somehow we still allow. And you have these
multi-million-dollar, families, the Rothschild family and this and that are basically, like there is a whole system. Like if you look at the financial system in America, it's completely flawed.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Like the banks get $100, they can lend out $95 out of that $100. And then they lend it to another bank, and another bank gets this 95. Like I'm pretty sure you saw it. It's in Zeitgeist.
Oh yeah,
and it's
exactly.
Crazy.
So so you deposit $100 in the bank. Now the bank can loan out $1,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what? It's 10-1. Like so, it's a setup. So that just shows you what a house of cards it is. Hey, we got one more message here.
Dude.
All right.
I don't even know how to pronounce your name. Nome. You are hitting so many points. I love being an American, but at the same time, you are right. Those people that sit in those Senate seats and those Congress seats and that line our judicial system, they're all puppets that are put in place by a higher hierarchy, the people that at the top of our pyramid. The true power lies within the wealth. And what I mean by that, corporations, because the corporations line those people's pockets, which in turn have those people pass laws that's beneficial for the corporations more than it is for the people that put them in those seats. So I think that you are hitting on some facts. And I respect that so much, man, because I love being American, but once we realize that, the better off we'll be.
Demand.
Sure. Absolutely.
Speaking some
Thank you.
truth.
I mean, there is a famous saying by Nathan Rothschild, and he said it sometime in the 1860, 1870, something like that, 1800s, 1860 or something like that. And he said something into the effect of, I care not what when the crown lies in the head of something, but the effect of the message is who how does it go?
He said something to
Whoever
the
has
effect of, I care not who controls the politics, just let me control the money.
Yeah, exactly. He who controls the money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the money supply. Something to the effect of that.
Yeah.
So that's have been forever true, and it's even more true today. Because you have all these populations of people, and they keep everybody just so busy running after the dollar so that they can barely survive. So that when you are extremely busy, you don't get the chance to think about anything. Like, think about the average American life, average American person lifestyle. They work 9 to 5 job, they go home, they get some pizza, they watch some movies, some Netflix, get drunk, sleep, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
That rinse and repeat.
And then, yeah, and then when you get into that kind of mentality, it's so hard to get out of it. You just keep doing it forever and ever and ever until the supply of people change. And
right.
And honestly, good for them. Like, they are smart people. They were able to capitalize on people's short term interest.